Thanks for clicking on the video. I'm Crafty Sea Pickle, and in today's video, I'm going to be building 3 Minecraft builds, but with a random twist or theme involved. Basically, I will spin a wheel and see what build I get, and then spin again to see what theme I have to add into that build. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I'll just let the clips play. Enjoy the video. Sorry if my phone doesn't translate very well onto my computer, but it was the best I could do. So for our first build, we're going to have to build a lighthouse. Interesting. I think that was one of the ones that I was looking forward to the most, so it's cool that we got it first. And for the theme, we are actually going to have to build looks like a fantasy lighthouse. That's going to be interesting. I can't wait to do that. After creating a creative world and looking for a place to begin work on the lighthouse, I started to flatten out the land once I found a good spot and actually lay out the shape of the tower and the building that would be in front of it as well. Now I'm adding in some blocks that will act as supports and also making the shape for the roof on the first building. Now I'm texturing and building up the sort of layers and giving the lighthouse actual depth. So now I begin to make the lighthouse taper inward using a second layer and the same blocks I've been using. I've also laid out how tall I want the lighthouse to be using the lime bowl that you can see on the screen now. And now I'm starting the third layer. Now I'm switching to avoid using cobblestone as much as I can, also the cracked stone bricks, just to make it more smoother at the top and rougher on the bottom to give it just a little bit of variation. Now I'm using dark oak wood to create the area where the light will actually be at the very top of the tower. And now I'm giving it some detail with some stairs and some slabs to make it more pleasing to look at. Now I'm using oak wood to create the floor of the part where the light will be. And I'm also creating the roof using dark oak and the same slabs and stairs as before, but in a new pattern to give it a different detail. Now I'm creating the cone-shaped roof using the blue wool, and also creating the light in the middle, and adding a sort of star-like design to the roof. Now I'm adding in some support pillars that will be on the side of the actual tower itself. And also using red and white to create some stripes to give it that sort of lighthouse feeling with the red and white, but using less of it, of course. Now I'm adding in the roof for the first entrance building that we did. Now I'm adding more detail to the roof for the entrance building and also some moss onto both buildings. After finishing it up off camera, it's time for the grand reveal. So here is the finished fantasy lighthouse. I really like the way it turned out, and I think it's actually a pretty good build. I added a fully furnished interior, including this table and some chairs in the front entrance building. What I tried to go for was that this was a wizard's tower slash house that also was a lighthouse, so I added some floating candles, which I think sort of sell that whole magical theme. Going upstairs to the second floor, it is an enchanting room setup because I think that a wizard would like to enchant some weapons and armor for other like knights and such to use, and I think it just works having like a wizard table. And I actually added a ender chest underneath it to give it some more like purple particles that sort of add some ambience, whatever, however you say it, it's added and makes it look just a little bit nicer. Now upstairs, this is the bedroom, which I added a lot of details like candles, a chest, some paper and compasses on item frames, and then a map. And then I've added even more floating candles, and now we get to the very top, which has the ball of light, which I sort of had the idea was like an arcane ball of energy that the wizard was using basically as the thing. I also have the completed starry sort of view, which I think actually looks pretty cool and adds some more like ambience to the whole thing. And I like these columns too. I think the yellow in them makes it look a little bit more interesting, and I'm pretty proud of this section in particular. So overall, I think this is a really cool build, and it's definitely one that I'm going to have to try really hard to actually be able to beat with the next two builds that I do. And I'm pretty proud of this overall, and I hope you guys like it too. So for the second build, I'm going to see what I get by spinning it here, and I'm hoping for something good. And if I ever get a repeat, then I'll just spin again, of course. Alright, so we have Ancient Ruins. So that's going to be interesting. Now we're going to spin for the theme. Let's see what we get. I don't really have any like ideas. Oh, okay. It's going to be my own choice. Well, what that means is I basically get to pick one out. So I think I'm going to do sort of an overgrown type vibe. So after finding a good spot, I started to make a lake because I wanted to have a waterfall. I was also thinking about things I could add since this was my own theme. I didn't really have a clear idea, but after building a little bit more, I started to get even more clear of an idea. Now I'm building a beacon because I wanted to have sort of a temple-like design, and I actually used 2 beacons to make it look like the beacon had the stone bricks as the actual blocks that powered it. Now I'm adding a path down to the waterfall. And now I'm adding a big rock using a combination of tuff and some moss to make it look a little bit more textured and detailed and just make it look better in general. Now I'm adding some more details like a rune on the wall and 2 more rocks. Now I'm adding some of those new mangrove leaves around the place, making it look a little bit nicer, and also using some of the new blocks, which I don't really use much of in this video, unfortunately. Just don't have any opportunities to. Now I'm adding bamboo, grass, and some dark oak trees to make it look even more like a forest. So here is the finished product. It didn't take as long as the lighthouse, but I think it's still pretty good. It's nice, like ambient environment type build, which was what I was going for, so I'm glad it turned out like that. Here's my custom beacon with stone bricks. I covered up an emerald beacon just to make it look like more of a customized beacon, and then put a beacon on top of that beacon. I'm saying beacon a lot, but basically creates the effect that it's a custom beacon, not using the actual ore blocks that you're supposed to use. Then I'm using some bamboo around that, and also some soul lanterns. And then there's a bunch of dark oak trees, mangrove leaves, and all of which you saw in that montage. And I'm pretty proud of how this turned out. The rocks, I think, are one of my favorite parts. I'm really proud of how that turned out. So overall, I'm proud of this build, and I think it's actually really cool. And it's more of an area than a build, but I think it still looks really nice. And is something that I think has a lot of ambience, and I hope you guys like it too. And now it's time to move on to the third build. For the next spin, we are going to have to build... Oh, okay, never mind. We're going to spin again because we've already done a lighthouse. And we're going to have to build a... I don't know yet. Okay, it looks like a giant tree. Nice. That seems like it will be fun. I've never actually built many giant trees before, so that should be interesting. Hopefully it turns out well. And the theme... Okay, nether. We're going to have to build a nether tree. So of course I started by going to the nether looking for a good spot. Once I found that, I started to build a circle, which would be sort of how big the tree would be. And then I added on these roots going into the ground, which I think would definitely give it that tree shape. And I think it turned out pretty good. It's almost like a star shape on the ground, a 6-pointed star. And then I added the tree height, and I started sloping the tree into itself, making that classic tree trunk shape. And I kept going using the nether wood from the crimson trees. Now I start to build out the branches once I reach a certain height that I'm happy with. For anybody looking to build a giant tree like this one, I definitely recommend using a circle and then adding the roots, just because I found that was the easiest way to start on a giant tree. And now I start adding in the red nether wart that you can find on the crimson trees in those crimson forests around the nether. Now I added some of those vines from the same trees. Now I'm finishing up the canopy of the red nether wart on the top, adding in some crimson nylium at the bottom just to give the bottom of the tree a little bit more life and interest. And then now I'm adding in giant shroomlights using shroomlights and ochre frog lights from the new update, which I think just creates a unique look and looks sort of like the texture on the shroomlight if it was on like a larger scale. And the colors blend together, and I think it adds variety and looks a little bit more interesting than just a bunch of shroomlights. Now I'm adding in some red concrete powder. I previously created bigger like veins or lines as the block has, using some actual red nether wart, but now I use red concrete powder to create more contrast. So here is my finished nether tree. I'm pretty proud with how it turned out, especially considering it was my first ever like giant tree at this scale. Honestly, I'm pretty proud with how I was able to reimagine the crimson trees into just a larger scale. It's not exactly the most unique build, it's just something from Minecraft, but bigger. But I do like how it turned out, and I'm pretty proud of it, especially for my first tree again, and I hope you guys like it too. But that is unfortunately the final build I have for you guys in this video. If you guys would like to see me do a part 2, please leave a like. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll let the final shots of the clips play right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for making it to the end. Please like and subscribe, it will help a lot. And also, if you would like to see a part 2, leave a like, because it tells me that you guys actually like these videos. If you guys would like to see a part 2, then if you guys could leave some suggestions for future builds or themes in the comments, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to see me maybe retry a theme or build like another lighthouse, then leave that in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the Crafty Sea Pickle. You're amazing, and have yourselves a fantastic day.